everyone. Welcome to a very special day after show. DJ, like the Hurricanes have won a playoff game.
I mean, they won, but I mean, both teams really struggled. So I don't know. I'm happy. I'm very happy. Don't get me wrong, but that was some ugly football yesterday. Not as ugly as James Madison and Oregon, but ugly yet victorious, I guess.
So we're gonna get into that a little bit. Obviously, there were some mitigating factors, I think, for both teams.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about our sponsor, which is 305 800 Pain. Um, After an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305 800 Pain, you get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they are a brand you can trust. Much like Five Reasons Cane's 305 800 Pain is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle all your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305 800 Pain. The number is the name of the brand, 305 800 Pain. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada a 305-800 Pain, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación de A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305-800 Pain tiene mucho en común con las 5 razones que están enfocadas en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y el Florida del Sur. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidentes de carro, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305-800 Pain. El número es el nombre de la marca, 305-800 Pain. All right. So, as you said, it was not an offensive masterpiece by either team. Obviously, we're going to be more Canes focused, but let's start with a positive. The defense was ridiculous. Coming into the game, A&M, offensive line was rated as one of the best in the country, had not given up a lot of sacks. 7 sacks the Canes had yesterday. And actually, in hindsight, in the first couple of drives, Marcel Reed made some plays with his legs, but after that, I think the Canes adjusted, stopped bringing those blitzes, and just let the D line get home. And so the linebackers were then able to spy and come up. And we've had a lot of seeing Ruben Bain collapse the pocket, gets the quarterback, have the quarterback throw it away and all that. Those sack numbers aren't as high as like his actual performance. Because they had a quarterback that was looking to run under pressure, the Canes were able to actually sack him, which is kind of because he wasn't throwing the ball away. He was like trying to scramble and getting run down. And yeah, the whole defense obviously was outstanding, but the defensive line in particular, there were 2 matchups up front that we felt would decide the game, offensive and defensive lines against each other. The Canes defensive line won that game. They dominated A&M's offensive line. On the other side of the ball, the run blocking was there. Every time the Canes got into like a deep drop situation, the pass rush did get home a bit for A&M, but the defense. Just talk about this defensive performance, DJ. It was outstanding.
The defensive performance was absolutely fantastic, and you saw, a bunch of things that were corrected from previous games that really, really showed up on Saturday. I mean, not to bring this game back up, but back when we played SMU, one of the things that they struggled with was kind of containing Kevin Jennings, and now Jennings brought that running style and had that type of versatility. With Marcel Reed, you saw Nebraska really kind of focus on, okay, maybe we shouldn't necessarily rush the passer so much as focus on, getting pressure and bringing good coverage. And I thought they did a great job of kind of keeping Reed contained, because that was one of the things we were worried about coming into this game. So I think they did a really nice job of making Reed uncomfortable, but also taking away the other options on the field via coverage and run defense. So they were able to play a multifaceted game in many aspects, and get home to the quarterback as a result. If you take care of other things, then sacks will come as a result. And I thought they played a well-rounded defensive game in that aspect.
Yeah, and I think what helped a lot, shout out to Kane Lake, regular viewer of our Sunday morning shows. I know we're an
Hey,
hour.
good morning, Kane Lake.
I gotta travel back to the to South Florida from Texas, so that's why we start a little early. Fresh, we are just not gonna top portal right now. Sorry. So
Yeah,
come on,
not
man.
not
With 3 wins for
considering the portal window
championship.
isn't even open until January 2nd,
Yeah,
we can't even
fuck.
get them right now.
Three wins for a championship, man. So, but
We
yeah,
will
I
get
think
there.
again, I totally agree with you on the just it was a front to back great defensive performance. I think one of the other big keys was you mentioned, they're able to play the pass while containing the pocket was just with
Yeah,
the front four able to win up front consistently. A&M was not able to turn and hand the ball off to their running backs and get chunk plays the way Miami was, and that ultimately decided the game. There was just not, that being able to not have to stack the box to stop the run
yeah,
and basically allow, again, using linebackers to be able to spy the quarterback and then the secondary was fantastic, just covering. But I think it started up front, but it was a front to back amazing performance. Yeah, I mean, this is an all timer. Yeah, as
yeah.
Kenty's talking about like this. I mean, this is program historic stuff um from a defensive standpoint, and it really, yeah, absolutely feels great. Get that playoff win, and still got more work to do here. So I guess the other thing we should definitely talk about is a huge factor in the game. I think they mentioned it some on TV. You could certainly see it on Carter Davis's first field goal, but that wind, I mean, it wasn't just that it was blowing hard the whole game. It would just change directions in the middle of a play. I mean, there was, if you notice, if you watch Carter Davis's first field goal, it was going right down the middle, and then a wind gust hit it and just pushed it outside the right upright. And I think I think that did two things. I think the Canes, they tried one deep shot to JoJo early. And he was open by like a step,
Yeah,
but if you watch the replay of that, the ball was thrown correctly and the wind picked it up and just drifted it all. And I think after that,
way
they're like,
too
we're not
far
doing
the
it.
wind did. Yeah,
Well, the wind took it,
yeah,
and
for sure.
and I think after that, the Canes just decided that he's going to throw picks because you don't know where the ball's going. And if you look at the first interception Marcel Reed threw, and we were sitting in the end zone, so you can see it straight up there.
Mhm.
He's trying to lead the receiver, and the ball just hooked after it came out of his hand. It's just it was not conditions to throw the ball in, and I also think that's why Marcel Reed was throwing a fastball in every, like, he was just ripping every throw as hard as he could throw it because I think he did. It was that windy and it was changeable in the to the point that like the wind would be at your back, then it would be in your face, and it's just like, of course, when they lined up and made that field goal, there was no, all of a sudden the wind stopped. I'm like, what are you kidding
Are they
me?
controlling the wind over in
I
College
don't know.
Station?
It felt like someone turned a fan on that Carter Davis that first field goal because it was like going straight. That just, and I
Like a
think that's why you
cartoon.
saw. I think that's also why you saw Carson Beck miss high and away a lot. He's basically like, I'm going to throw it to the point that if the wind catches it and brings it back in, it'll be near the receiver. Otherwise, it's just going to be incomplete. You saw a lot of it being
Yeah,
very careful with it. And the conditions had everything to do with that because he didn't want to do what Marcel Reed did, which is turn the ball over 3 times. Um, and that was the difference in the game in terms of just, I think the Canes. We're gonna talk about some of the Shannon Dawson play calling because, but I think the difference was the Canes pretty quickly realized this is not the condition to throw the ball in. I don't think there was a ball. There was the one to Daniels towards the end of the first half, and the Canes ended up missing that field goal on the last play of the half.
great catch by
Where
Daniels
he
there.
converted where he converted that third and long over the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah,
Other than that, everything was within 5 yards. It was just, we're not throwing the ball down the field. We're going to keep it simple and just dump it off. Two reasons: one, those long dropbacks, A&M's pressure was able to get home a few times,
Hmm.
but also just keep the ball underneath. Don't let it travel too far in the air, uh, and and just, because if the longer the ball's in the air, the more the wind is moving it, and it was just really difficult to throw in. And they only hit one kind of downfield throw, and that was complete coverage bust by the Canes. So it became a game about running the football, and that's
yeah,
where Mark Fletcher put the team on his back and carried him to victory.
yeah. And quite honestly, that was quite literally the difference in the game, in my opinion. For Texas A&M, Marcel Reed was their leading rusher with 15 carries for 27 yards, and meanwhile Fletcher had 17 for $172. So he really showed up in a big way, and I love the fact, and you mentioned it just now. The coaches identified that it wasn't the best day to throw the football, so they didn't force anything on Carson Beck. They didn't force him to make downfield shots. The whole offense adjusted and relied on Fletcher to help them win the game, and he did that and much more. So kudos to them for not falling in love with the deep threat passing game like they had at other times this season and adjusting on the fly.
Yeah, I would say the other thing, though, I do think, especially in the first half, I think it was pretty obvious even at that point that Fletcher could eat them up on the ground, and he did not get enough carries. And he ends the game with 17 carries for 172 yards. I mean, it was trick play after trick play after let's blank out the linemen. It's like, if we just run that A gap, B gap everyone was complaining about against Louisville, I think he can run over this team. I think we tried to get way too fancy early. I think we tried to force the ball to Malachi Toney, and they were all keyed in on him. And
they were ready for it. I remember watching him get a carry, and he was just swallowed up by the defense.
Yeah, and I think that did hold the offense back a little in the first half because we were running the ball so well. I agree with this. The play calling was not. Yeah, exactly. We're trying to get too cute when again the conditions, like even that we tried the reverse pass, which Malachi has completed a lot this year. There are two things that were difficult, right? One was the wind conditions. It was really hard to throw the ball in. And actually, we were talking about that in the sense, like, I don't think we're going to call that play today because you can't have a receiver throw it in these conditions. I tried, and lucky to hit the turf. But also, again, A&M, look, we block them well, especially in the run game. They do a lot of creative blitz schemes. They get home. They led the nation in sacks coming into this game. He didn't have time to throw because actually they didn't really highlight this on TV because I watched it later after the game, but in the stand you could see clearly no one covered Carson Beck. And he could have walked into the end zone a touchdown on that, but Malachi Toney was getting hit because they got home on that, and they were just anytime the ball went near him, the whole team was like, he's got it. And
you can really tell that Malachi Toney was circled in the game plan.
And I agree with this. I think we got too cute when actually the simple game plan. It was working from the first play of the game. If we call the first down, they handed it to Fletcher, they'd punted it deep. He ran for 10 yards, got the first down. Then he didn't get another carry that drive. We punted. Second drive, ran for a first down on the first play. Didn't get another carry. We punted again. Third drive, 0 carries for him. I thought it was way too cute. Then in the second half, they made 2 adjustments I really liked. One was they did throw, but they were not, as Kenty correctly pointed out, not a bunch of misdirection. It was the first 2 plays of the second half were 3-step drop, get the ball out, get it into the receiver's hands. Made 2 big plays to move it down into A&M territory, and then immediately called a reverse that was 5 yards. It's like, hey man, just stick with the normal stuff, keep it simple. And then of course the next play Fletcher ripped off a big run to erase that negative play, but that was a situation where I think he overthought some of it, the trick plays and the misdirections and all, when the actual standard pass plays even too, those were our 2 best pass plays of the game, and they were just simple out and hitch routes into the flat that were there because they were compressed inside. So if you take all that misdirection, we did a lot of bunch formation to the short side that didn't appear to be working at all.
Not really.
And then again, the wind made it very difficult to do anything in terms of throwing down the field. We like to throw a lot of fades and all. You couldn't do that because the ball would just carry. We did have one right before the end of the first half where it was single coverage on Daniels on the far side, and we had a bunch of the short side, and Carson threw the fade, and Daniels ran the post, and the fade was there, and that ball actually landed where. So maybe that one would have caught because it landed right in the corner, right where you want it to land, but the receiver was 30 yards away running a post, so it didn't matter. But I think once we got once I think in the second half they made an effort. Are going to get the ball to the receivers quicker. We're going to stop messing around with a lot of the the trick plays, and that helped a lot. There were, again, A&M's obviously a good team though, so they kept fighting back. Got inside the 5-yard line, couldn't punch it in, finally made a field goal. And then there were opportunities for both teams, I would say. A&M had that, we mentioned, hit the one big play, and then Ruben Bain blocked the field goal.
Great block.
And then obviously the Canes didn't get paid off on the interception by Fitzgerald or the Malachi Tony punt return, which, oh man, that replay. I mean, I would put anything right before he gets tackled on him scoring a touchdown on that run.
One of those things when you're when you're in punt return coverage, you just stick a finger out and hope that maybe you trip up the guy on the return. And I think I did see a Texas A&M hand kind of affect his direction a little bit, and then just
he kind of kicked himself. Yeah. It was a weird one. It was a weird one.
But
yeah, oh man, and then didn't score because again missed the field goal.
And
no, I mean, again, I was there, and I think people got to understand when you talk about the kickers and the passing game in this game. The wind was that bad. I've never seen it where, not that it's blowing, where it's just changing directions in the middle of the play. As someone called out earlier, the one that Carter Davis claimed off the post, the wind was blowing straight to the opposite post. He'd already had one ball taken and blown out that so he aimed it right at the post, and as the ball's kicked, the wind stopped and it just went and clanged right out. It just, I mean, it was one of those days, which is why when after the game there was some discussion about should Malachi Tony have scored the touchdown, because obviously he sits down at the one, you kneel it, you kick a field goal on the last play of the game, the game's over. And I'm like, dude, have you seen the field goal? Like, no, you gotta score. Like, normally I would say, yes, sit down at the one as Orange. And like, Carter Davis has been great this year. He's missed 2 kicks all year. I 100% trust him going forward. Yeah. And he missed 3 today, and it was because of the conditions. It wasn't because he forgot how to kick, and that's why you have to score that touchdown. Because unless you have a machine to turn the wind off to make sure you just kick it down the middle, it's actually and I know you're thinking that short distance, it shouldn't be a problem in theory, and you could center the ball, but it was so much can go wrong. They had already had one block down there too. Like, it's just kind of like, no, you got to score and trust the defense that's given up 3 points all game, that they're not going to get up 7 now. And they damn near did, but they did not. So, that's why, like, I think we'll see the offense more open to be able to throw. Like, again, a lot of, if you look at a lot of our pass plays, we throw those short balls into the flat. We also throw a lot of fades. You could not throw a fade in those conditions at all. And so I think taking that off of our passing game, there wasn't much left. Carson Beck was 14 of 20. Again, because it was all just check downs, dump offs, because anything over 10 yards was getting wind affected. Technically, that Malachi touchdown was a pass. They did a little pop pass. So
not true.
Carson Beck's stats are inflated. It's not 103 yards and a touchdown, which is what his stat line is. But still, I think everything's within 5 yards on the line. So we average 5.2 yards a completion, which kind of makes sense when you look at or actually that's an attempt when you look at kind of where he had to throw the ball. Yeah, but getting back indoors, Carson Beck will throw those fade routes, which he's quite good at. He gets into more trouble trying to force the ball over the middle, but when the fade passes, he's been locked in on. And then again, the kicker will be fine indoors. So those were kind of anomalies for this game. What wasn't an anomaly, though, is that Canes offensive line, again, went up against the number 1 defensive line in the country, and honestly, I think we could have run for 300 yards in this game if they'd just given Fletch more carries. But when it came down to it, that's what they did. Fletch delivered. What a performance from him. 17 carries, 172 yards. 10 yards a carry against that defense is unbelievable. The offensive line did great work. And our receivers, I mean, there were plays where we'd pull like Daniels around and he would be the lead blocker and he'd clear the linebacker out. I mean,
that's what stuck out to me the most, because, you look at the offensive line was great blocking, but it's oftentimes about the smaller blocks, if you will, from the receivers. And I thought they did an excellent job, and you could tell that that's something that they've worked on even just these last couple weeks here, because I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and they actually call it again. I rewatched the game. They called it on the broadcast, and a few of them, like, how often do you see teams, follow a receiver as the lead blocker? And we did it multiple times. They'd clear the guy out, like they made those blocks. It's just it, it was an amazing physical performance, and I think it's fitting that Mario spent 4 years building these, this powerful, tough team, and when it came down to that fourth quarter, the Canes were tougher, and they were tougher on both lines because recall before that last touchdown drive, Fletcher ripped off a big run, Beck hit Tony for another first down, he fumbled, um, and he's dejected going to the sideline, and obviously it was great to see his teammates pick him up. Fletcher immediately was like, "Hey, we need you. We're going to go down and score," which they did. Fletcher took us down there, and then Tony scored the touchdown. So it's just he was clairvoyant on that. But the defense, once again, the ball's at midfield. A&M's thing, get 25 yards, maybe try to kick a field goal, whatever, win the game. And no, our defense stepped up again, did not let them move the ball, and they had to punt. Like that's one where it's like the game's teetering, and again, just we were tougher than them. Got the sack on third down, so they couldn't go for it. Again, just the defensive line, we were tougher than them on the lines of scrimmage, and that ultimately decided the game. And that is where Mario building this team inside out. And obviously, there's been quite a few hiccups along the way, including the season. But one thing we've repeatedly talked about on this show and on Six Rings is he has transformed the way this team looks and feels and plays. And it's not always pretty, but when you get down to those key situations, like this team is built to physically dominate you. And in that fourth quarter, the lines up front won, and that won the game. In terms of why didn't Pringle, I mean, he got one carry. I don't know what, again, I have some issues with just, again, as a team, 28 carries, but 4 of those were Beck scrambling or sacks. One was a reverse to Marion, I mentioned that wasn't great. One was a handoff to Lofton on a Wildcat play. 3 were runs with Tony, 1 with Pringle, 17 carries for Fletch.
Got to get the obligatory Chase Lofton carry in to show that they're trying to
use him. I would
have drove me nuts because I didn't really understand that at the time, but
yeah, I would have run the ball a lot more. I think a lot. Like I think Fletch probably needed another 5-6 carries, and yeah, I would have given Pringle. I thought it was pretty obvious early that you couldn't. I mean, I could feel the conditions. Like you can't throw in this. Yeah. I mean, they did one of those promotional kicks like before the game. Someone was kicking for like $1 million or something from like 20 yards. They do those like field goals.
Oh yeah,
he kicked it right down the middle. I was like, oh, this guy, he kicked it well. Like, oh, he's gonna get $1 million. The wind took it and blew it out. And I'm just like, this is gonna be a lot. This is before the game. We're like, this is weird. These conditions are not good.
It's like one of those claw games where you almost get the toy and then the claw drops it at the last second.
Yeah, exactly. Except it was $1 million. But I mean, the wind was that bad that I think it was, to me, it was pretty obvious from the go. Like, hey, if we can run the ball, just run the ball. And then we tried all this weird. We didn't like force the pass either. It was all just like, let's run a reverse. Let's do this. Yeah, and like way too many. Let's flank out our offensive linemen and run a reverse. It's just like, what? What was working? Just like lighting it up and pushing them out of the way. But so I would have run the ball more.
Me too. Yeah.
And so that, but I think, at the end of the game, we finally just said, okay, let's run the ball. And that took over and got the touchdown. I felt like that could have happened earlier too. But then again, they were then able to drive back down to our 5. And part of this is the rhythm of the game. Like when you're playing in that, it's 3-3 or 3-0, and it's kind of like both teams are kind of jabbing each other. No one's really taking chances. And, all of a sudden we score a touchdown. Then they start taking more chances because they have to, and they move the ball, but then they throw the pick inevitably, right? So it's just, I think a lot of times you see like these last gasp drives, they move the football because the defense doesn't want to give like a long touchdown, so they back up a little bit, and the offense is, especially the quarterback, is willing to take more chances with the ball because like you can't waste downs, you
Absolutely.
can't like throw it away and punt. So you tend to see like more throws into coverage. Obviously, Keontae Scott had one that
Yeah.
looked like went through him and was caught by the tight end on that last drive. I thought that was we were sitting behind that. I thought he picked it and the game was over, and somehow the tight end caught it. But
Former
inevitably
Big
it
Ten
found,
tight end, if I'm not mistaken, Borkature.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I
And then
recognize him. I recognize a lot of names. It's interesting.
yeah, yeah. And then the ball eventually found where it always finds itself, in Bryce Fitzgerald's hands.
I
6
tell you what,
interceptions on the
I mean,
year
I
for a true freshman.
I've been singing his praises
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
Six Rings in this show, and boy, he came up huge again yesterday. But I just love the way he plays. He's such a ball hawk. So such good instincts, really quick in terms of reading the play. I love him. I love him, man. He's great. He's great.
Yeah, and great catch at the end there. That was
Yeah.
it was good coverage too. Everyone's like, actually, I saw a debate about this because everyone was like, "Oh, if he'd thrown it earlier, the window was there." The window is
No.
barely there. You'd have to like throw it so that he can toe tap on the. And so this one guy was like, "Yeah, there's a window there, but are you sure you're gonna throw the exact perfect pass with the wind blowing like that? That's gonna drop it on a no. You don't throw that ball."
There's also a
And it's
window,
like,
but a lot of times, because corners can have the ability to play the wide receiver, 5 yards or whatever, they can bait you into throwing it and then come over and make the play. I mean, that's what Malcolm
yeah,
Butler
and
did
there's
in
also
Super
like
Bowl
where
here.
they were saying you should have thrown it
Yeah,
more towards like the center
yeah,
of the goalpost, but then there was also
yeah,
defenders on the other side. It's
right.
hard to throw down there for a reason.
Yeah, it is.
I was actually surprised because they'd had enough time that they didn't try to run the ball at all
Me
down
too.
there.
Me too.
They trusted their quarterback, and good thing they did. He delivered for us.
Just like Russell Wilson in our Super Bowl, but yeah.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. I mean, they're expecting a perfect throw to. It's in the NFL, man. Like it's just
Yeah.
like you need a bigger window than that in college, and obviously he threw it behind a little bit, which is why Bryce was able to pick it. But there was nowhere to throw that. I think the other option was really throwing the ball away. But again, when you get down to those crunch situations, you don't want to throw the ball away because you don't want to waste it down.
Right.
But yeah, no, again, it was a tough physical game. The conditions made it tough to do, to throw and to kick, which definitely colored the whole game. But at the end of the day, that offensive line and defensive line Mario spent 4 years building came through, and yeah, they won the game in the end. I will say the other thing, we've talked about this a lot. There was one really bad penalty on the last drive, and then there was the required David Blake jumping off sides unnecessarily in a key spot. So we had
Was
those
it him
2.
again? I couldn't tell on TV.
Yes, it
Damn it.
absolutely was David Blake. I don't understand. He stands over the football and just gave them that first down. But other than that, like those 2 delay games we took on purpose to get more space to punt.
Yeah.
And other than that, no penalties.
I think there was one false start, or no? Was it just the
No
game?
false starts. There was 2
Okay.
delay games. The David Blay offsides, and then the late hit on the last drive, which was a stupid one by Armando Blunt.
Yeah, it was very stupid.
That was actually, they made a bad call, but it was a late hit because he hit him late, and I was fine with them calling a late hit.
Yeah.
They called it forcible contact with his helmet, which did not happen. That's why they
No,
huddled.
that didn't happen at all. No.
That's why they huddled to discuss it. Because the ref was like, "Did you see it?" I think I saw it, and then I think the other guy was like, "I didn't see it, but I did not see." Basically, like, I don't know that. And then they threw the flag for forcible contact with his head to the quarterback. It's not targeting; it's a different penalty. You can't hit the quarterback anywhere with your helmet. Everyone else is head or neck area. But he did hit him. It was a late hit.
Oh yeah.
So they got wrong penalty, but correct application. It should have been 15 yards. He hit him way after he threw it. So
yeah, I was like, "What are you doing, man?" Like, that drove me nuts. But
I don't. Yeah, I mean, the roughing the passer against SMU wasn't a penalty. This one was. I think it was a good call. I thought the refs actually. I thought the refs were quite good in this game. We got one break where we pretty clearly did a late hit out of bounds, and they didn't call it.
I thought they let him play, and this is what you should
Yeah,
do.
but they
in
let
these
him play.
leagues.
Both teams got called
Yeah.
for 4 penalties. And again, I think that the replay, they used it correctly. They didn't, they called what happened and overturned and sustained calls correctly.
Yeah.
And do you know what conference the refs were from? They must have.
I do
I don't
not.
know.
I'd
I
probably
think they
look
used
that up right now.
neutral. I think they used neutral refs, so it'd probably been the Big 10 or the Big 12. But
Definitely wasn't
I
the Big
mean,
10 because the out officiating is terrible too. So maybe the Big 12. I don't know. I'll have
I
to
don't know.
look.
All I'm saying is, can we get that quality of officiating? I mean, it was a
I
night
don't
and
know
day
if I'm a Big
difference from
10
what
refs
we're used to
fish.
seeing. It was so, and look again, like you said, all we asked for is consistency, because I definitely saw them get away with some holding and stuff, but they didn't call us for holding either, and I'm sure we've done some holding in that. So just all we want is
on every play.
consistent.
Holding drives me crazy because you can
Yeah,
probably
but
call holding on every single play.
yeah, and all you want is that consistency, and
Yeah,
they were
right.
very consistent. They let like kind of the extracurriculars go. They didn't want to get involved in any kind of, because there was obviously pushing and shoving and jawing after a lot of plays. They were like, we're not going to call anything on that.
It's the
And I
playoffs.
thought they did what they're supposed to. If something happens where us not intervening is essentially cheating for a team, then we call it. Otherwise, we're going to let it go.
Right.
And Dirty came thing and saying they were Big 12 refs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they definitely weren't Big 10 because there would have been flags flying everywhere yesterday.
So yeah, we gotta get what their secret sauce is, because that was a well officiated game, which
that would
I'm not
require
used
the
to seeing.
ACC to actually want to do
No,
that.
no, we didn't notice the refs. Like, how often do we not notice the refs, good or bad? Even when it like the pig game, right?
Yeah.
It helped us. They kept calling personal fouls on them for ticky-tack stuff, and it helped us. We're like, man, these refs are everywhere. Like, how often do you not notice the refs in an ACC game? So that was.
No, I thought it was a very
that
well.
was a very, very well refed game.
You don't hear us say that too often, so enjoy it.
No, I mean, because we get ACC refs. They're terrible. Like, this was a night and day difference. It was really well refed.
If anything, this just shows the ACC what they need to do to improve their
quality.
Yeah,
it shows that they're capable. What you're capable of doing. Yeah. So again, obviously huge win. Program changing potentially. Obviously, as everyone in the chat has mentioned, next game is Ohio State on New Year's Eve in the Cotton Bowl. So back to Texas, the Canes will go in a week and a half.
Are you going?
Of course I'm going. I'm always there.
I was
Where am I going? I will be there. Yes. Yeah, I'll be there with that. That'll be a fun time. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was one of those. So let me ask you a couple of questions before we wrap up here. So, how confident were you as the game was playing out that the Canes were going to win? It was very nervy, right? It was very kind of finely posed,
honestly, I guess you could say. To be completely honest with you, I wasn't confident until Bryce Fitzgerald got the interception to end the game. It was both teams were playing bad. We were worried about false starts and the Canes slow starting and Texas A&M jumping out to an early lead. None of that happened. So in that respect,
it's one of those things where, like, I think if you didn't watch the game and you weren't invested in it, you could interpret it as this is boring, nothing's happening. But so much was because it was so tense that like any play could. It was like, you know what it was like? It was like watching soccer.
Yeah,
and like. Because plays were being made, right? There was all these missed field goals, like, and it was just like if one thing breaks, like that could do it because it's so hard to score. And so the whole time it's like a goal in soccer. Like, you score a goal, it's like so hard to get the point back. And
it was,
but there was stuff happening that wasn't showing. Like A&M drove down to the 2-yard line, we blocked the field goal. We missed 2 field goals. Malachi was like away from getting that punt return for. And no one had scored, and you're like, so much happened and no one had scored.
It was a game for the football fans. So many little things, so many chess matches defensively between the two teams when the big plays weren't happening, and it was a game for the football purists, I think.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the thing. It wasn't bad football. It was just like the scoring play kept failing, whether it was a field goal or whatever. So it was 0-0, but like there was so much that happened. Like there were turnovers and both teams drove inside the 20. Like we drove twice. They did once in the first half and no points were scored. It wasn't that it wasn't like that the ball wasn't moving and it was just like a punt fest. there weren't that many punts. Like it was just it was a bizarre game to be scoreless. And then again, first play drive of the second half was our best drive. I mean, this is the first 3 drives of the second half. We kicked a field goal after going 72 yards. They threw a pick. We missed a field goal. And then there were a couple of punts, and then they had that long 7.5-minute drive for a field goal. We fumbled. They punted because we made the stop, then touchdown, then they threw the pick on. So that's why, like, while the scoring order wasn't lighting up, it was right. It was right poised like that the whole time. So I thought it was tense. I was not the only time. So I am a psychopath, so I'm always like, if we have time, we can still score down, go down, win. I believe in my team. The only time I actually got nervous was on the last drive when I was like, in my head, I was like, what if they go for 2?
Yeah.
If they got a touchdown, went for 2, because I was like, we don't have time then. Because if you give my quarterback a minute, and like I'm like, maybe you can do something. Like even though it's stupid to think that, like I only give up if there's like no chance. So even as they were driving that last drive, I was like, I'm fine. Like even the one before after Malley fumbles, like they go score here, we'll have time to get a possession. We had all of our timeouts, and so I was like, we'll be able to go down and score. Why not? If they can go down and score, we can go down and score. But yeah, that last drive when they got inside the 20 and they threw that down to the phone, I was like, if they go for 2, I'm gonna vomit. Because it's all on one play then.
Yeah.
But instead they didn't get in the end zone, so that did that. Martin, I did not see this.
I did not see this either.
I didn't see that either. I don't know. Are you sure it was a Texas State trooper and not one of we bring our own cops?
I was gonna say Texas State troopers are already having trouble with
yeah, it might.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might have been our own cop celebrating with him. Because we bring FHP with us. So shout out to Melissa. She's like in this house somewhere.
Do you say you had other questions for me?
No, I just wanted to know how you felt like during the game and how it played out.
Honestly, and I know this is probably not what a lot of Canes fans want to hear, but how we started, and granted the weather conditions were rough and it was rough for both teams, but I kind of got a little worried. I'm like, if this is the team that faces Ohio State, next week, then I'm a little uneasy. But I think it will be easier in the Dome, and I think it will be, they'll have another week to game plan, and it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm jealous how you're going.
Yeah. I'll also say this, that every matchup is different.
Yeah.
Ohio State has struggled to score against Texas and Indiana, so they haven't exactly lit up the better teams they played. The Canes are much more battle tested.
Yeah.
They have a freshman quarterback, so
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, I think it's going to be fun. I think the only game that's been boring so far is the JMU Oregon game, and but other than that.
Well, I didn't see anything after our game yesterday, but looking at the scores, it didn't look like Tulane Ole Miss was very competitive either.
Did you have that much fun after the game, Vish? You didn't see anything after our game?
I mean, okay, so here's the situation, right? The game ends. Obviously, we celebrate. We take a bunch of photos. Then, all right, so the fans were super nice, like all of that. Like they were great fans, like great atmosphere. The stadium construction, you essentially go into a crowded ramp well, and it takes you like 45 minutes to walk down the ramp with the massive humanity to get to the bottom. So by the time we get out of there, then get to the car, then get out of traffic. Like the Mississippi game was basically over at that point. And then we didn't bother with the last one. It was a long day.
The first quarter, yeah.
it was a long day too. The 11 a.m. kickoff, man, we were up quite early. So by the end of the day, I think we were pretty much done. Plus, we had to do Cotton Bowl tickets too, so there were priorities.
I was gonna say, is Melissa going with you to the Cotton Bowl?
Yes, she is. Nice, she is going to be on no sleep on that one, but we will get it done.
Nice. I'm really excited for the Cotton Bowl. I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, it should be a great game. I think you look at the matchups now, right? It's Indiana, Alabama, and Georgia, Mississippi, Oregon, Texas Tech, and then Miami, Ohio State. There's some interesting matchups. Oregon, Texas Tech is in our stadium. So
I'm kind of upset that Alabama won. I still don't think they belong in the playoff, but what can you do now?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, whether or not they belonged there, the important thing is that it upset Notre Dame fans, and
I was gonna
that
say I enjoyed
is
reading
a
all the
cause for
salty.
good.
I enjoyed
That's a
reading
cause
all the
for
salty
good.
tears from
I
Notre
mean, when
Dame.
they were before the A&M Miami game, when they were unironically saying we beat either of these teams, like, what are you serious?
No.
Have you lost that much touch with reality?
Yeah.
Because you played both of those teams and like, bro, you lost to both. Like,
Yeah.
like they can't say anything because it's literally they lost to all the teams that they would have been in instead of. Like, it's just like what I hope I never get to the point in life where I am that delusional that I can just completely ignore what happened in reality.
That's what Notre Dame fans do best. They always have.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But it was just fun reading all their tears yesterday and crying yesterday and blah blah blah. But it was
they're so sure they're better than the teams that made the playoffs that did better than them during the regular season. So,
and Texas A&M Miami was has been one of the better games of the college football playoffs so far. So, I mean, it worked out for the ratings people too, and yeah.
Mohamed, shout out for the dono. He wants to extend Mario. I think Mario's under contract for like 8. Mario's never gonna have a contract issue, so that's in lockstep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They're completely entitled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but they get to watch the playoffs at home, as does Texas A&M now that the Canes have dispatched them.
I mean, and one of the things that I kind of wanted to point out was, you know, I love Miami, but I can give credit where credit is due. I mean, Texas A&M's defense has given up a ton of points this regular season, and they were able to play a chess match with Miami, and they all really stepped up, and then Miami stepped up and took advantage of the Texas A&M run defense. So I loved to see that those two teams prepared, and it was a close game, and like we said earlier, not necessarily the high scoring one that the casual football fans want, but for the analysts and fans of the game like us who love a good, hard nosed football game full of chess matches, this was perfect. So shout out to both teams.
And that's a good point. Both teams were well prepared and well coached, and you can see that.
Yep.
Like a lot of stuff that leads to scoring a lot of times is like missed tackles, and there weren't any of those.
Yeah.
And so, that's a lot of times these touchdowns happen because someone missed a tackle. You get an extra 10 yards on this play, or sometimes you score on it when you wouldn't have. And, that wasn't really happening.
No.
And so to earn every yard, and that's why it was hard to score when you have to earn every yard and you can't kick field goals. It's very hard to score.
Yep, indeed.
All right, DJ. Well, thanks for waking up early with me on this Sunday, Victory Sunday. We will have 6 rings tomorrow night. I'm sure. Well, I did talk to Jazz yesterday. He was pumped up. He's also going to the Cotton Bowl, so we'll have a contingent out
jealous. there. I'm gonna be there.
So yeah.
One of these days.
So Jazz will be out there. I'm sure he was fired up yesterday. Apparently, he drove through campus honking. I don't know. I'm surprised he didn't get arrested. That's Gables, but he got back home safe, so that was important. We got Blues take as well, and then we do actually have another one of these shows and another 6 rings before Ohio State, so we'll probably do that.
I'll have to do some Ohio State homework. Big Ten. I mean, I've followed the Buckeyes closely for that reason, so it's going to be a good one.
There we go. Yeah, we'll talk about that next week on Sunday morning on this show, and then again on 6 rings a week from Monday. But yeah, join us for 6 Rings Cane Show on Monday, 8:30. We'll get Blue and Jazz's take, talk more about this big win, biggest in 20+ years for this program. DJ, thanks for joining me this morning, and everyone, go Canes.
Go Canes.